السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا أشهد أن محمد رسول الله أشهد أن محمد رسول حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله
إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهد الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله يا الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان لكم رقيبا يا الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. أما بعد إن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله عز وجل وأحسن الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدث في الإسلام بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. All praise due to Allah Azza wa Jal. We praise Him and we extol Him. We send the finest of salutations ala Muhammad ibn Abdullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. For the most truthful of speeches, the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the finest guidance that of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And the most evil of affairs and the newly invented ones, bid'ah. And every newly invented matter in Islam is going astray, and every going astray leads to the hellfire. That's the al-afiyah wa thabat. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala keep us all safe. As what follows, the mawdu', the topic, the subject matter, and the hadith, the target of our khutbah today will be an extension of what we spoke about last week regarding the diversity of the communities within the GTA. Wallahi tawfiq. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala lies our success. As we all know, there have been an influx of many newcomers to Canada, but more specifically to the GTA, the Greater Toronto Area, Toronto and the surrounding areas, alhamdulillah. And as we all know, that the government now has mandated that they want to put a stop or a cap on the amount of people immigrating or migrating to this country. And alhamdulillah, I mean, those of us who are here and who have been residing here know very well of the diversity in and around the GTA. And wallah alhamd, as people start to come, an influx of people start to come, namely the Muslims, they will be looking and searching for communities. They'll be looking for centers and masajids with the upright aqidah and manhaj. So we need to serve as khutbah, as examples for those newcomers, those migrants, those reverts to the deen of Islam. So the first thing that I would like to point out is that we need to ensure those newcomers that, alhamd, the Muslims residing in and around the GTA are diverse in many ways, alhamd. And a part of this diversity is a diversity of beliefs and thoughts. Alhamd, wa shukr, and all the praise belongs to Allah, that with this diversity, we have the flexibility and the capability to practice our deen. Alhamd. And in this part of the world, we see the montage of cultures, of foods, of spices, that those who are coming here, they are not aware of, that are available for us living in and around the GTA. So alhamdulillah, we need to remind them, not just by our words, but by way of our example, that living here, there are many challenges. And from those challenges is the diversity of ideologies. And a lot of the times, in our eagerness to be a sincerely practicing Muslim here, we will experience injuries and harms along the way. Well, alhamd, we have many ideologies and a variety of backgrounds that come with those ideologies. So as a result, we need to be patient. We need to exercise sabr اصبروا وصابروا ورابطوا واتقوا الله لعلكم تفلحون. Allah Azza wa Jalla says, we need to have patience and endurance and more endurance along this path of serving Allah so that perhaps we will be successful. So I want to remind us that Muslims living here and anywhere in the world, that we need to be patient with one another, and we need to be patient with the harms and the injuries that we endure while interacting with one another. There's a hadith, and it's by Ibn Umar, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala be pleased with him and his father, that the Prophet ﷺ has stated, authentic hadith, Al-Muslim الذي يخالط الناس ويصبر على أذاهم أعظم أجر من الذين لا يخالط الناس ولا يصبر على أذاهم. That the person of Iman, the mu'min, the faithful Muslim, practicing Muslim, who mixes with the people and يصبر على أذاهم, and is patient on the harms that comes as a result of interacting with the fellow Muslim brethren. Adam is superior. Ajrun is superior in rewards than those who choose not to mix with the people so as not to be enduring the harm that comes as a result of mixing with the people. So my dear Muslim, with that hadith in mind, it shows us that we cannot live our lives as a hermit. Islam, all of the pillars of Islam call for us to interact with one another. We cannot live, and we should not live alone and throw stones at other communities, other jama'ats, other individuals. And on top of that, we will meet and we will come across some attendees at some masajid or Islamic centers who will rub us the wrong way. So what do we do as a result? Do we boycott such masjid? Do we start labeling such masajid? La. Because it just may be the fault of some individuals. So that would be an injustice for us to label that mosque because of a poor interaction that we had with a few individuals. Well, alhamdulillah. And I say that because many of us, we have a different perspective on many aspects of Islam. So we need to take those individuals and their outlooks with a grain of salt. Well, alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has told us this and explained to us this in many ayats in the Quran. For example, Allah says, "Am hasabtum an tadkhulul al-jannah wa lamma ya'lam Allah alladhina jahadu minkum wa ya'lamu as-sabirin?" Do you think that you will enter into paradise before Allah knows you by way of testing you, and to find out those of us who will struggle, mujahida, make mujahidat, struggle and endure, and as a result, they are patient. So my dear Muslim, with this in mind, it is not in any way, shape, form, or fashion to suggest that we are just to sit on our hands while putting up with immoral behavior. No. This is not the way of the people of Iman. But we know the Prophet ﷺ, he had told us and instructed us that the believer is not stung by one and the same hole twice. So we should not put up with immoral behavior. We should not put up with those who speak in the wrong way, or they bring up issues that are not a part of Islam. Because there's authority in every masajid. If you have a difference of opinion with someone, it's not for us to always try and prove or counter the person's argument by way of something we might have searched up on Google or watched on a YouTube video. Because alhamdulillah, there's authority in the masjid. Look for the authority. Look for one of the imams. Take your queries and your arguments to the administration, to the imam, so that inshallah we don't take it upon ourselves to correct or explain things, which might be just that that person has a perspective that he is with, that he is upon. Last week I also closed by mentioning that most GTA Muslims will have a syndrome known as confirmation bias, where that we have the tendency to interpret or favor certain ideologies or viewpoints from a traditional manner, from our upbringing. What do I mean? Is that, for example, I am Hanafi, I am Sufi, I am a Dervish, I am a Tablighi, and the list goes on and on and on. Why? Because that is what I know. That is what I was brought up upon. I was brought up upon such ideologies. So this is what I believe and what I view, in my viewpoint, Islam to be. So many Muslims, the overwhelming majority of Muslims in this mosaic of the GTA, we have this type of confirmation bias that will only choose to associate and assimilate ourselves with those who will not disagree with us, who will not argue with us. This is a weakness that we have, but at the same time, it's a beauty. But we will learn each other, and when we interact with each other, we can bring those issues to the Imam, and the Imam, inshallah, will sort it out. Why I say this? Because many of us are throwing out the baby with the bathwater. What do I mean? Is that we are quick to call the person Ahlul Bid'ah, a person of innovation. He's a Sufi mushrik. He is that, he is this. We're quick to label them because of an ideology that they carry. We don't want to hear the person out. It could be, it might be that we are wrong, that we are mistaken in our ideology. But because we have been around and only associate with people just like us, because we're so afraid to come out of our comfort zone, and when we meet somebody else, we're quick to label them as wrong and backwards. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. Well, alhamd, some people have bid'ah. Some people use ambiguous evidence to support their viewpoint, but it's not for each and every one of us to search something up on the internet and try and refute them as being wrong. So my dear Muslim, there are many of us who go around, look for arguments, and then we boycott the masjid. We don't want to go back to that masjid because that masjid is X, Y, and Z. We boycott very easily and simply. We boycott the masjid. Why? Because of an interaction we had with one individual on one occasion. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. It's important for us, my dear Muslim, rather than to be quick to point fingers and boycott individuals or masajid or organizations, is to practice decorum. And Islam has a simplicity about itself, within itself, whereas we learn to look at the good in people and we learn to overlook the faults of others. We don't seek to make a wanton display or to shame each other. This is not the way of the Muslims, especially in such a diverse mosaic as the GTA. We need to embrace our diversity and learn how to interact with each other with decorum. This is what Islam is about. Mu'amalat, not groupism. Wal alhamd. There's a hadith in Sahih Bukhari, in the book of manners. Abu Hurairah who said that I heard Messenger of Allah saying, all of my ummah will be excused except for the mujahireen, those who make their sins known. And verily it is a kind of mujahara, exposing one's sins that a man does, a sinful act at night, and then in the morning after Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had satar, concealed their mistakes, in the morning we expose ourselves. And the Prophet said we remove the veil that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has put over us by saying, I did so and so last night, I did such and such last night. So alhamdulillah, that Allah is a sitr, and out of his sitr, his covering of our fault and our mistakes, is that he prohibits us from exposing ourselves and others. So many of us in our overzealousness will be quick to expose his Muslim brethren and label them as X, Y, and Z Muslim without even hearing them out, without even understanding their point of view and why they feel that they should practice Islam in such a way. So my dear man, there's also a well-known hadith in the Sahihain. We need to understand this hadith from our overzealousness that many of us have within us. That one day, some Jewish men, they passed by the house of the Prophet ﷺ. Listen closely. They said, Assalamu alaikum. May death or poison be upon you. They didn't say Assalamu alaikum. They said Assalamu alaikum. May death or poison be upon you. The Prophet ﷺ said, Wa alaik. Aisha, radhiyallahu anha, from behind the veil, heard what they said to the Prophet ﷺ. In her defense of the Prophet, of the Rasul ﷺ, she said, Wa alayka salam wa la'natullah, ikhwa khanazir. Same to you, and may the curse of Allah be upon you, O brothers of pigs and swines. The Prophet ﷺ, he said, Rifq, ya Aisha, Rifq. Be gentle, O Aisha, be gentle. She said, did you not hear what they said to you? The Prophet ﷺ said, did you not hear what I replied to them? Did you not hear my reply? I said, wa alaik, same to you. So my dear man, we have to understand that sometimes, and many times, whether they are Muslim or non-Muslims, people will rub us the wrong way. So we have to learn how to take things with a grain of salt. And it's interesting how Allah had ordered the Prophet ﷺ in his book to address the ignorant and the foolish by saying, show forgiveness. Order that which is good and be away from the ignorant ones. When this ayat was revealed, the hadith in Sahih Bukhari, when this ayat was revealed, the Prophet ﷺ said, Ma hada ya Jibreel. Jibreel, speaking to the angel, what does this mean? He wanted to understand. Jibreel said, the meaning of this verse is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commands you to forgive those who wronged you. Give to those who deprive you, who don't want to give you your haq. Find it in your heart to forgive those who wronged you and keep relations with those who sever relations with you. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless us all and give us the tawfiq to be good practicing Muslim. Bismillah, salatu salam, ala Rasulullah, wa ala alihi. The topic of today's khutbah was regarding some social aspects of the Muslims residing here in the GTA. And this is also a reminder for those newcomers to this country. And a reminder for those new reverts to this beautiful, lovely deen of Islam. That we, alhamdulillah, may not realize the diversity that this city has. The beautiful mosaic that we have here cannot be found in any other place on the planet Earth. It's a beauty. When you look at the flowers in the springtime, at the diversity of the flowers, think of the city that you live in. Some of us are in a habit of just going to certain centers. Well, alhamd, that's okay. And some of us, we get into a type of a confirmation bias, where we only see Islam through a limited lens. So as I said, my dear man, many of us are tired of the mundane, and we want to be a better practicing Muslim. We want to learn to really appreciate what it means to be a part of this beautiful mosaic, multicultural city and surrounding that we're living in. Without bad-mouthing Muslims, we want to go and experience Islam in other parts of the city, which is great. As I mentioned, my dear man, that from last week, what I mentioned last week was that at the end of the day, the masjid is just a building, bricks and mortar. It's what the imam is saying from the mimbar. It's the musallin, those who come to the masajid, that make the masjid a special place, a place of development and spiritual growth, is the musallin. That's what the masjid is all about. We shouldn't be so focused on the building per se. Well, alhamd, I know that this khutbah will be uploaded for people to hear, but the people who I'm speaking to are you all who are from this lovely city, who will be able to appreciate from the various multitude of communities in this city, will be able to appreciate what I'm speaking about. You all know that the diversity that we have here, well, alhamd, that the GTA is also known as the city of neighborhoods. And we've been boasted to have over 140 neighborhoods in our city, well, alhamd, in and around the city. And we have Muslims, well, alhamd, in each and every part of the city, all around the GTA. We have hundreds of masajid, not 100, not 40, not 50. We have hundreds of masajid in and around the GTA, and centers and schools, well, alhamd. The Muslims here are powerful, and we're loved and we're beloved when we show that appreciation for the diversity. Let us get out of this mindset of the confirmation bias that I'm rushing to only go to that mosque because they look like us and we speak the same language. Islam is beautiful and it's diverse. And in this diversity, my dear Brother man, let us appreciate it. So I want us to end off with this closing ayah in Surah Fussilat, so we can understand the importance of being patient with one another. Allah Jalla said in Surah Fussilat, verse number 33 to 35. وَمَنْ أَحْسَنُ قَوْلًا مِمَّنْ دَعَا إِلَى اللَّهِ وَعَمِلَ صَالِحًا وَقَالَ إِنَّنِي مِنَ الْمُسْلِمِينَ وَلَا تَسْتَوِي الْحَسَنَةُ وَلَا السَّيِّئَةُ ادفع بالتي هي أحسن فإن الذين بينك وبينه عداوة كأنه ولي حميد وما يلقاها إلا الذين صبروا وما يلقاها إلا ذو حظ عظيم. And who is better in speech than he who invites to the way of Allah and does righteous deeds and says, I am one of the Muslims. The good deed and the bad deeds cannot be the same. Repel the bad with that which is good. And those of us who had enmity and hatred amongst ourselves will become as bosom brethren. And we will not be able to understand this type of attitude except for the one who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given patience, sabr. And we'll never be able to understand this type of attitude of giving of yourself with love and wholesomeness except for the one who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given a great amount of goodness. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help us to be forbearing Muslims. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help us to be loving Muslims, caring Muslims, those who overlook and ignore the ignorant ones, those who spread the greetings of salam. Those who try and uplift one another. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have mercy on our brothers and sisters who are struggling in the Bilad al-Sham. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help our brothers and sisters who are struggling in the Gaza Strip. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have mercy on the shuhada in the Gaza Strip. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have mercy on those who died in Palestine. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have mercy on those who are struggling in Kashmir, in Afghanistan, in Sudan. في كل مكان يا رب العالمين. إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا الذين آمنوا اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة.